Hi, my name is Jay Oza, and I teach, mentor, and coach people on public speaking so that they can get winning, high stakes speeches, whether it's one on one in a job interview, or in front of a small group at a business or sales meeting, or before a large audience at a conference. Today, I'm going to give you a speech tip that I call smash mouth public speaking approach. Quote unquote smash mouth. So, first, I know this title is not for clickbait. I'm using this as an analogy to football. So in football, they use the word smash mouth. And you don't need to really know football to understand that. It's simple. What it means is that a team primarily will just pound the ball by running instead of doing, trick plays and passing and all kinds of trickery and all that. It's just very simple. You just take the ball, hand it off, and just keep running. Left, right, straight. It's called smash mouth. You just kind of pound it to the defense. Okay? So that's what smash mouth means. Now you might say, well, how is this related to public speaking? Okay. You know, when you look at some of the experts and the speech gurus, I think they've made public speaking very complex. They tell you got to put some humor into it, you got to tell stories, you got to engage the audience, you got to get audience to participate, you got to use PowerPoint. I mean, there are a lot of moving parts. It's almost like you're like Tom Brady and quarterbacking here, a presentation, and these guys are like running all over the place. Look, that might work for Tom Brady and football, on a football field. It's not going to work for me and people like you who are giving a presentation or a speech. So focus on smash mouth public speaking approach. Okay. And it has three main components. Football, you have the blockers. That's your content. These are the blockers. They're just gonna boom, roll over. That's your content. That's just gonna move. When you hand off the ball to the running back, that's the message. You gotta keep pounding that message. You hand it off once, twice, three, five. Keep pounding that message over and over again so the audience really knows the message is coming. I better get ready. There are no tricks involved. You know what the message is. You know it's gonna come. You're not trying to fool anybody. So that's what the message is. The running back is the message, and the quarterback is the performance. Now, occasionally you might keep the defense honest and throw a quick pass here and there, but that's okay. That's allowed. That's part of the performance. So the quarterback is the performance, the running back is the message, and the blockers with a fullback, they are your content. They're just going to whoop, roll over the defense to give the running back the message to penetrate. Okay, so that's how it works. Now, in the other scenario, let's call it the Tom Brady way of playing football or public speaking, you'll have all these flankers and wide receivers and all that. That's like your story, your humor, your PowerPoint, your anecdotes, you name it. Like I said, that might work great for Tom Brady when he's quarterbacking the New England Patriots to a Super Bowl win. But when it comes to presentation, that's hard stuff. It's hard stuff. Keep it simple. Use the smash mouth approach. Do you know some of the greatest speeches that have been ever given, like Patrick Henry's "Give Me Liberty, Give Me Death," Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream"? These are what I call smash mouth public speaking approach. They just have the content, they have the message, and they have the performance. There's no trickery. They're not telling a story. They're not using humor. None of that. Smash mouth public speaking. That's all that they do. And it works. And the reason you use smash mouth public speaking approach is that given a choice, err on the side of getting your speech done fast than to drag it on with all kinds of stories and humor and all that. Take my word for it. When you bring in a story, it's fraught with risk. What if the story isn't good? What if you're not good at telling the story? What if the story is too good? Do you want to deal with all that? Think about it. You don't want people to remember your story. You want them to remember the message so they either spread the word or take action. Let me give you two famous examples of great storytelling that turned out to be some of the biggest flop in the advertising industry. The first one was Coca-Cola. They had this ad that they aired during the Super Bowl. I believe it was 1980. You may have to check that. And it had to do with a famous football player named Mean Joe Green from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's a defensive lineman. And in a commercial, he is entering the locker room. Looks like he's hurt. He's beaten up pretty badly, injured and sweaty, and he's got his football jersey on. And suddenly a kid comes out, was waiting at the locker room and says, "Hey, Mean Joe, can I have your autograph?" or something like that. I gotta watch it, but you can see it on YouTube. And Mean Joe's like, don't, kid, stop bothering me. Don't you see I'm hurt? I don't want to deal with you. So the kid then says, "Here, have a Coke." And Mean Joe's like, "Okay, should I take it?" And he takes it, and he gulps, chug-a-lugs it, and he's feeling great again. And that commercial, everybody loved it. It was a very popular commercial. People still talk about it. But guess what? The guy who was head of the marketing at Coca-Cola, Sergio Zeman, pulled it. Why? It didn't sell that many Coke bottles. And that's what the objective was. The commercial was too good. It told a too great a story. And it didn't get people to go out and buy it. They just loved the story of seeing Mean Joe Green injured, in a grouchy mood, suddenly drinks a Coke, and he's happy. It didn't make people go and buy Coke. The second example is the famous one that we all know about, the 1984 theme with Apple. And this is they told a great story about how they wanted to break the dominance of IBM, and you see this lady running, and she throws this hammer or something at the screen where people are all like drones listening to this message supposed to be like IBM, you will do this, there's no creativity. And it was to introduce the Apple Macintosh. I think they aired it maybe only once, and it's still considered one of the most famous ad ever displayed during the Super Bowl, aired during the Super Bowl. Everybody still talks about it, but guess what happened? Apple Macintosh didn't save Apple. It led to Steve Jobs getting fired. Great story, but it didn't move the needle in any way. They didn't break the IBM's hold on the computer industry. It wasn't until Apple, when he came back the second time, when Apple came back with an iPhone where they had a lot of different apps, that's when that became an amazingly successful product, right? So be careful. Stories are fraught with all kinds of risks. If it's a bad story, it will reflect poorly on your speech. But if it's a too good a story, then nobody will know what the hell the message was. So avoid all that. Humor and, oh, one thing about humor, let me tell you. Don't even bother with that. Now, when I say don't bother with it, don't come up with any kind of canned humor. It hardly ever works. Because people are not expecting humor. Now, humor is fine if it's something situational. That's fine. That's your personality. And you got to show personality. That you can't avoid it. But don't say, hey, I'm going to start with a joke. It never works. Let's face it, for two reasons. One is that people are not coming to listen to you to tell jokes. They're not expecting it. And second, you may not be good at telling jokes. And your joke may not be that good. Avoid it. You're adding too much complexity to your speech. Stick to smash mouth public speaking method. It works. It has always worked. It's been used by some of the greatest speakers of all time. So when people tell you like, hey, you got to have a story. Hey, you got to inject some humor. Hey, you got to tell an anecdote. Hey, you got to go out and participate, get audience to participate, all of that stuff. Avoid it. Stick to smash mouth public speaking. It has worked over the ages and it still works today, just like smash mouth football. Team that runs the football often wins. Okay, there it is. Let me know what you think, and thank you for watching.